There you caught us again. See, in the middle of the break, we talk about all kinds of stuff. We can't reveal some of that stuff to you. Good morning. Welcome back to the Tennessee Valley this morning. We are back. I'm Dan Howell with Roxanne Barlack Corbett, an old friend.
Yes, I'm not that old.
No, I
But
didn't.
I am a friend.
maybe a one old, not too old. Just an
one
old
old,
friend.
yes.
Yeah.
You're
Now
right.
your father is an old friend.
He is an old friend.
Of mine, because I'm an old friend. But we're back with Dr. Matthew McCartney with Tennessee Valley Bone and Joint.
That's correct.
And I was corrected during the break. I just said Tennessee Bone and Joint.
Not by me.
No, it was by the producer, and I said, well, at least I got the state right. And
Very
so
good.
there we are. We're in Tennessee. Welcome back. You've been on before.
I have. I enjoyed it and just really enjoy living in this area. I tell you, with all the tragedy that's been recent,
Yeah.
we've seen so much just community support out there that that it's really impressive, and
Yeah.
it just makes me happy of the choice I made to come
Yeah.
live in this
It
area.
really has revealed the character of this community when you
Oh,
see the response
Most definitely.
that has come.
It's touching.
Yeah,
It really is.
It is. And we have people that I know of who are, even though we're impacted so heavily, people here have gone to Joplin, Missouri.
That's right.
And are there now, have been there for a few days.
That's right.
Wow,
And
that's
are
amazing.
working to help relieve some of the pain and suffering of those people. But this, you're right, this is a great place
really
to
is.
live and to open a business. And
Yeah.
I hope it's going well.
It is. It's fantastic. I couldn't ask for more. I just am grateful on all the choices and blessings that I've gotten since I've been here. So
Fantastic.
we did. I'm sorry. We did a relief day for any relief workers. We've been for the past 3 weeks every Wednesday. I've treated relief workers for free.
Wonderful.
And I realized that swinging a chainsaw for 5 hours a day
Might hurt your back a little bit.
can definitely have an adverse effect to you. So
Yeah.
we've just tried to reach out in any way that we could to help as well. So
Yeah, those folks have found muscles they didn't know they had.
That's
but,
correct.
They needed a little chiropractic work. Well, your practice is unique in some ways. In
Most
that,
definitely.
well, talk about that and explain
Sure.
to our viewers.
Well, basically, Tennessee Valley Bone and Joint was started by Dr. Ricky Hutchison. He's been in the area for about 15 years now.
Yeah.
He's a board-certified orthopedic surgeon, and just a great guy. I got to know Dr. Hutchison when I was in the orthopedic sales job that I had previously to going back to school, and just thought the world of him. And then when I graduated from chiropractic school, he invited me to come back to this area.
Yeah.
And since he started Tennessee Valley Bone and Joint, I guess going on 4 years now ago, he has added another orthopedic surgeon, myself, a chiropractor. He has a nurse practitioner, a physician's assistant, a full physical therapy department. And so basically for anything musculoskeletal, from a sprain strain through to a complete fracture, we're able to offer all care on all levels.
Wow.
Now, can you explain for those of us who don't really
Sure.
understand orthopedic, what does that have to do with?
Well, it's the bones, basically. Orthopedic means the bones, and usually it is related to that, some sort of either sports injury or traumatic problem like a fracture or a fall but we've like I said, now we have the chiropractic, the physical therapy, and we have the nurse practitioner and physician's assistant that are, I mean, they treat just a huge variety. I mean, not common cold type things, but pretty much everything else. It's really unique.
And it's probably extremely unique to find a chiropractic practice in with
It is.
a medical practice, bone and joint practice.
It is.
So it seems like a good fit to me, though.
It's a great fit as long as those two work together, and not against each other. It's a pretty, I guess, without being too vivid, but I think chiropractic has changed a lot over the past 20 years. I think that the programs have become much more scientific. There's my training. I have a 4-year degree. I have a 4-year degree, and then my doctorate of chiropractic is another 4 years. So it's It's exactly the same. Our curriculum is exactly the same as
As a
medical doctor,
Yeah.
except that where they learn pharmacology, we learn adjusting techniques.
I see.
And so, so that's kind of a misconception that most people don't understand. And so, having a DC, myself, and then an orthopedic surgeon in there, we're able to look at two different, or the
Yeah.
same problem from two different levels and decide what's
yeah.
the most conservative treatment
Yeah.
initially.
Right.
And then that's the great thing about it, is we can treat it conservatively through chiropractic, and then if it progresses, then we have other measures we can take.
Yeah,
still.
then you just refer it to the orthopedic side.
That's right.
Wow, that is interesting. I'm sure that being in Cleveland and Bradley County now that your practice is established, you're probably getting to know folks and they come up to you and say, Doc, I've got this pain right
That's
here
right,
in my
that's
back."
right.
You find that
What do you
a lot
think?
of people don't understand how they injure their back and
That's probably
some training.
the majority of the case. You get people that, I woke up with this pain, and what did you do before you went to bed? And you'll have to maybe trace back 3 days of
Really?
everything they did,
Right.
and then it was like, oh yeah, I went wakeboarding on
Ah!
Saturday, and that could be what it's from. So
Is there some time a delayed response like that to
Oh, yes.
activities? You
Most
may not feel it till the several hours later?
most definitely,
Huh.
yep.
That must be what happened to me. I've been having this pain. No, I'm kidding.
You know, sometimes caregivers injure their back trying to lift someone because they're not doing it properly.
It's very common, very common, and I actually make a special point when I have a patient that I know is a caregiver. I'll as I'm helping them up and down from the table, I'll show them the proper ways to do
The
that.
training. That's
Yep.
great.
And so, and there are some tricks and some tips to doing that, and I'm sure everyone's heard of the proper ways to lift. You want to use,
Sure.
keep your core in tight, bend your knees, don't bend over at the waist. There's actually some really interesting videos out there now that kind of throw that whole myth, or not myth, but kind of throw that whole common perception that we have about lifting out the window. And they say that the best lifts now is that golfer lift, where they bend over with one leg to pick up the ball.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually a pretty good, because the core stays tight and that the low back doesn't bend. It's
Yeah.
bent at the hips. And that if you are going to have to lift something stationary off the floor, it may look funny, but the best thing to do is to spread your legs as wide as you can, because that's going to bring your center of gravity lower, and then bend at the knees.
I see.
And so,
That's interesting. I usually just get someone who's a lot shorter than me, and close to the floor, to pick
Well,
it up.
you've got children. Hey, pick that up for me and hand it to me.
Hand it to me. That's
Yeah,
exactly
I
right.
got grandkids. That's what I tell them to do. That's
right.
great.
Yeah.
What are the most common problems that you see, Doc?
lately, I've been seeing a lot of upper back in between the shoulder blade area pain, and that really is due from all of the gardening, the cleaning up, the picking up, the chainsawing, the sawing of limbs. And basically our middle back is designed for the shoulder blades to be rounded backward. And so when the arm is extended and the shoulder blade rolls around, you have a tendency to slouch, and to the ribs in the posterior back, or in our back, can actually become what's called subluxated, and that means that they don't line up in the joint correctly. And so if you've ever had a rib out, or if you've ever had that pain that seems like it runs underneath your shoulder blade, it's a pretty extreme pain, and it can cause a lot of muscle spasm and things like that. So I'd say that's what I've gotten most recently, and it's been because of all of the relief efforts and all of the storm damage that we've had in the area.
So what should people remember trying to protect their back area while they're gardening or
The
those
most
types of
important thing is to have a very good core. And so that means that if our core muscles are strong and what I call in tone, that means tone means that the muscles are slightly contracted at all times. So if you look at and I actually just wrote a blog on this, if you look at a bodybuilder, his biceps are in tone. And so when he's standing there relaxed, his arms are slightly bent. Well, if our postural muscles were in tone, then we wouldn't have to think about sitting up straight, because they would be contracted slightly at all times, and they would hold us up straight.
I see.
And so, same with the abdominal muscles. If we were to bend over, the very first thing you want to think about doing is contracting those abdominal muscles and keeping the core tight. Those type of things will also help us with that upper back pain, because it won't allow that shoulder to come out as far as it does. And so,
Well, thinking about this time of year, what you're seeing, I guess your practice to some extent would be kind of seasonal as far as the type of things you see. People are more active in the spring and in the summer.
true. And then winter we have falls.
Yeah, more falls in the
Right.
winter. So I guess it would be kind of seasonal in that
It
regards.
is. I mean,
so the type of practice would vary.
Well, it is, but then, there's also what my favorite patient, and that's the wellness patient.
Oh,
And the wellness patient is someone who realizes that their body functions better when their spine is in alignment. And so typically what we'll see is a patient that comes to the office that has been seen for a problem will realize that what will happen is they'll never go back to the same pain they had, but they'll never want to.
Yeah.
And so what they'll do is they won't take a chance, and they'll go, I'm not hurting, but I don't feel 100%. I'm going to go see Dr. Matt.
Yeah.
And so then those are my favorite, because that means they get it. That means that they're actively participating in their own health. That means that they care whether or not they probably watch what they eat. They probably they probably take care of themselves really well. And so those are the ones that just I really enjoy.
Yeah.
So some practices are nothing but those, and sounds great, but in reality, people get hurt, and people
Yes, they
need
do.
it, and people don't want to come unless they are hurting, and
Right.
so it's one of those things where the myth is that chiropractors will have you come forever, but the truth is that if you get it and you realize it, you'll want to come.
Yeah.
And so it's not. I won't make anyone come.
It's
but
a matter of prevention.
That's right.
rather than
Right, preventative
cure.
care.
That's
Yeah,
right.
And I agree with you on the wellness. I'm not as good at it as I was several months ago, but I'm a part of a wellness program.
That's fantastic.
And try to watch what I eat and exercise regularly and all those things.
Yep.
And you're right. Occasionally, when you're in a wellness program, there are times when you just feel like, I'm just not exactly
Yeah,
right.
that's
And
right.
So you need to get an adjustment.
That's
or something.
right.
And of course, you're able to handle all kinds of joint problems other than just lower back or upper back.
Most definitely.
I've had chiropractors work on my joints and my
Yep.
in my shoulders,
We're trained
elbows,
on
all kinds of
everything
things.
from wrists to ankles and feet. So,
Oh, okay.
one of the things I just recently had a patient who ran her first marathon, and feet are a big thing when you're talking about training and running for a marathon, and so
Yeah.
adjusting her feet was a issue that we had to address.
Oh yeah.
So, because the arches will tend to fall if you've just started running, and so what happens? The arches are made up of the bones, and as they start
Yeah.
to fall and flatten,
Yeah.
you can actually adjust those bones back up to where
Oh really?
That's good to know.
I did not know that.
they're. Yeah.
And I guess in a situation like that, are there recommendations to be made about the type of shoes, proper fitting, things like that?
Sure. Most people that jump into marathons are usually wearing good footwear. It's just it's an overuse or an overtraining injury, and then trying to tell them to stop running is a hard thing. So
Yeah.
you're basically trying to adjust them to get them through the race, to ice them so that they're not in pain, and
Right.
The whole situation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
so, and any elite athlete, that's pretty much what you're going to face. Not many of them go into. I work on a lot of mixed martial arts fighters, and not many of them go into a fight without some injury of some sort that they've gotten in training. Very rarely, if not ever, is a fighter 100% when he walks into the ring or the
Really?
cage. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they go so hard in training that it's inevitable to be hurt.
That's amazing.
Yep, it really is.
Well, he's able to do it all, it sounds like, and you're located, Dr. Matt, at where?
2350 North Ocoee Street.
2350
So-
North Oak. That's easy to find.
Yeah,
That's
right
where-
across from Medical Center Pharmacy.
Yeah. Yeah, good location. So go by and see Tennessee Valley Bone and Joint, and or call. There is a phone number.
There is 476-5554.
And what about a website? Is there?
www.tnbonejoint.com. And there's actually a chiropractic link, and I do a blog on Facebook every 2 weeks, and
that'd be interesting.
I've addressed posture, which is one of the things we just talked about, headaches, allergies. We've talked about a bunch of different stuff. So if you're interested, then please join us there as well.
Allergies would be a popular subject around here.
It is.
It sure is.
It is.
You're right.
It's always interesting talking to Dr. Matthew McCartney from Tennessee Valley Bone and Joint. I'm glad you came back today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy learning about all that stuff. 7:02, back in just a moment, we're going to talk about some of the long-term recovery response and talking to Dr. Matthew Ryerson in just a moment from the United Way. Don't go away.
Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland, is your #1 Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep dealer in this area. Stop by and see the brand new 2011 Chrysler 200. The 200 is essentially a new nameplate with a significant facelift to the outgoing 2010 Chrysler Sebring. A beautiful vehicle at an unbeatable price. And while you're there, check out the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee and the newly designed Dodge Durango. Redesigned, revamped, and reinvigorated. Yes, the Dodge Durango is back, bigger and better than ever. Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep offers a complete parts and service department with qualified service technicians to fix and repair your vehicle. So for your next brand new or pre-owned vehicle, make it Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland.
Volunteer Ridipest LLC has been serving Cleveland and the surrounding areas for over 40 years. Their qualified, experienced technicians are trained in all the latest techniques to keep your home pest-free. Volunteer Ridipest LLC offers Mosquito Guard, which keeps mosquitoes out of your yard and out of your life. Their monthly and quarterly treatments are backed by their 100% money-back guarantee. For all your pest removal needs, call Volunteer Ridipest LLC today at 423-472-7736.
I'm Dr. James Markham, host of the television program Heart of Health, seen right here on WTNB television, Thursday at 7 o'clock, Friday at 8 a.m., or Sunday at 3:30 p.m.
I'm Kathy Guy with Landmark Insurance Brokerage. Call us today for all your personal insurance needs. 28 years in the insurance business, I have the solutions and pricing you are looking for. At Landmark Insurance Brokerage, we've got you covered.
And we're back. I want to thank Dr. Matthew McCartney for coming in from Tennessee Valley Bone and Joint and telling us all about how to stay healthy and keep our backs and our joints in place.
And your mother's advice was right. Sit up straight.
Yeah, that's right. It was. And I learned that the head bone connected to the neck bone,
That's
neck
right.
bone connected to the, there you go, all that kind of stuff. That's an old song. It's probably too young for you. Let's take a look at our headline news. Tennessee Cleveland Utilities line crews are finally able to refocus on one of its priority projects, and that's the completion of the Chautauqua Creek substation. The new substation will feed electric power to the new $120 million Whirlpool plant and distribution center there on Benton Pike, as well as service the surrounding areas. The substation had been delayed several times. The first began with some wetlands mitigation several months ago, and then the latest delay was the April 27th storms, but they're getting back on track. Bradley County's massive storm cleanup continues, and crews are getting back to work on the pre-storm projects, making temporary power hookups to families moving into temporary housings. Some homes have been repaired sufficiently to get their electrical connections back, while a few families are resorting to living out of camper trailers on site while their homes are being rebuilt. Students at Truesdale School left their mark on the State Summer Special Olympics in Nashville. Students took part in several events, and they brought home a total of 24 medals, including 4 gold, 10 silver, and 10 bronze. Congratulations to those athletes at Truesdale School. And the 6th annual Dixie Highway Yard Sale is set for this weekend. The 90-mile stretch on U.S. Highway 41 will become an open market where thrifty shoppers can find everything, I mean everything, from clothing to farm equipment to video games, collectibles, And read somewhere that even a bunch of families who are having the sales even bake cakes and cookies, and they'll sell those to you. The sale will stretch across 12 counties in Georgia along Highway 41. It's going to be a blast. Starts in Ringgold in Catoosa County, running to Marietta and Cobb County. And they have their own website, dixiehighway.org, dixiehighway.org. The road was built between 1915 and 1927 in response to the growing number of people driving automobiles back then, and that number has grown substantially. Probably be a lot of automobiles, but just go out and be careful and have fun. And that starts this Friday, all weekend long, on U.S. Highway 41, starting there in Ringgold in Catoosa County. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend, that's a good thing. Let's check out your headline, check out your weather forecast. I just gave you the headline news. It feels like a Monday to me. It sounds like a Monday too, doesn't it, the way I'm carrying on? Today, mostly sunny, a high of 95. It's going to be warm overnight, 67. Look at there, all 3 days, 67 for a low. Tomorrow, chance of rain. Thursday, chance of rain. And we do need some rain now, I think. And a high of 96. For both days. We may set a record today, according to one meteorologist that I was listening to. And right now it's already got a good start toward that record for the day. It's 70 degrees. And we're back on the Tennessee Valley this morning. I'm Dan Howell with Roxanne Varlack Corbett.
An old friend.
An old friend. Her father is an old friend. See, I knew Roxanne when she was a small child, about 2 or 3 years old, which means I'm at least 39 now.
At least.
There you go.
'Cause I'm only 20.
Dr. Matthew Ryerson is back with us. He's kind of a semi-regular guest. We always enjoy having Dr. Ryerson on. He's Vice President at United Way and extremely involved. When I say involved, he's right in the middle of it. I mean, right in the middle of this recovery effort, man. Been in several meetings with you, and this has become a passion for you. And it's something that you've taken to heart, and not only taken to heart, you're taking the lead in finding us a way to recover from these devastating storms. So let's start there. You're the chairman of the Unmet Needs Committee. I think that committee kind of grew out of the Mayor's Coalition, I believe.
Right.
And so the Unmet Needs Committee is working with the Mayor's Coalition. So where do we stand now? Let's just kind of catch up, and then we'll talk about some other things.
Well, the recovery effort is on its way. And I think one thing that we've learned in the past couple weeks is that long-term recovery is exactly that. It's long-term. And unfortunately, where we would like, I think, to make everything right today and everybody back in their homes today, and you hear people living out of campers who had a beautiful home a month ago is devastating.
It is.
But the reality is the scope of those storms was so massive that the expectation is it could take years for us to find, and you hear the term new normal over and over again, and that's what it is. I think our community, the landscape physically has changed. I think the landscape emotionally has changed, and spiritually. I think what I heard in the segment before, that our community has risen up without a doubt is a great description. But it's going to take time, and I've been asked to chair the Unmet Needs Committee, as you mentioned, Dan, and that came by way of me missing a meeting. So
you got voted in, and you were absent.
Let that be a lesson to you.
Show up for your
But
meeting.
it is a passion of mine. I'm excited that the United Way can play a role in this. I'm personally excited that I can play a role in this. And the Unmet Needs Committee was essentially outlined by the Mayor's Coalition to do two simple tasks. One was to identify any existing unmet needs in our community as a result of the storms. And then two, to identify resources that can help satisfy those unmet needs. We called anybody and everybody to the table that wanted to join that group. It's not an exclusive committee by any means. In fact, we've said that if you can contribute to one of those two missions, then you're on board. If you can identify something in our community that's missing because of the storms, or you have a resource available to you that could result in serving those needs, then we want you at the table as well. And the process has been pretty extraordinary. I think we've met 4, maybe 5 times. We meet again actually this morning at 9 a.m. The Chamber of Commerce has been so gracious to loan us their facilities for our meetings. We've met over there at every single meeting. And we sit around one of these big tables. In our first meeting, we created a list of everything that we were aware of in our community that was unmet as a result of the storm. And that first meeting, the list was quite an
Extensive.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing how long it was, and very disappointing. But one of the first unmet needs that was identified, and this was pretty interesting situation, but this kind of shows you how that committee works. One of the first unmet needs identified was mattresses.
Right.
And people who were in the storms and their houses were tore apart, they may still have their mattress, but it was soaked, and a lot of people lost their beds completely. So that was identified as an unmet need right at the top of the meeting. Well, we moved on and we were working our way down through the list, and I'm seeing people texting and I'm seeing people on the phone stepping outside, and I thought, well, I must be a really boring facilitator, that they're so into other things. And about halfway through the meeting, Clark Campbell, who is a key part of Parkview Relief, and Jake Stum, who's over at First Baptist Church, come back in and say, hey, we've gotten 150 mattresses donated. They're actually en route to the distribution center, all different sizes. I mean, that's in 30-minute time. So, that's a classic example of how this committee can work. It's one of these committees where committees get rightfully so criticized for planning, not much gets accomplished. And I can say firsthand from this committee, watching these leaders here work, that it's happening at the moment. When they sit down at the table, they bring those resources, and if there's a need, they try and meet it at that time.
Isn't it incredible too to see the power of the social media at work? It's played a huge role in the recovery effort, hasn't it, Matt?
Absolutely. It's been exciting, really, to see social media, Facebook, Twitter, all these web pages out there.
Texting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. We often run across an unmet need that we just don't have the resources. We look around the table, does anybody have this? Everybody shakes their head no. Instantly, people are getting on their web pages and Facebook pages and doing what we call an all call, which is essentially a note to the community, hey, we need XYZ. Please bring it to the distribution center as soon as possible. And we see a rush of those usually coming in. So it's pretty amazing.
It's been fun to watch, and not that we don't need the old media, because it reaches the masses as well. But when you need to really target a specific need, and you need to do it now. Wow.
We
Twitter,
even had
Facebook.
people coming into the distribution center at Peerless that needed things like scrubs. Because they needed to go back to work and all their clothes were gone.
Wow.
And we had a lot of volunteers that say, hey, do you need this? And we would take it, because you just never know what someone's unmet need is.
Yeah, and one of the big things that was on my radar, I had no idea there'd be such a need, but when you think about it, was diapers. There were thousands of diapers given away, truckloads of diapers that came into the community. I guess there's probably still a need at the distribution center. But you mentioned the distribution center. Roxanne was the point person that set up the distribution center at the Peerless Road Church, which was later, about 2 weeks later, absorbed with the distribution center on
Barney Lane.
Barney Lane. There at 20th Street. So, and there's still a need for volunteers, by the way.
They do, and that was one of the things our church could offer, was fresh volunteers. Because when you've been doing this for 2 or 3 weeks, you're pretty much spent and tired. You
really are. It's 7:15. We've got a lot more to talk about with Dr. Ryerson here in just a moment. We want to come back and maybe talk about volunteers and the effort and the need and the blessing that we've had from so many volunteers. But it's 7:15. Got to take a break. Back in just a moment. Please stay with us.
I'm Byron Winters with Landmark Insurance Brokerage. Contact me for all of your business insurance needs. From general liability to workers' comp, commercial auto, and business umbrellas, Landmark Insurance has you covered.
I'm Dr. James Markham, host of the television program Heart of Health, seen right here on WTNB television. Thursday at 7 o'clock, Friday at 8 a.m. or Sunday at 3:30 p.m.
Volunteer Ridipest LLC has been serving Cleveland and the surrounding areas for over 40 years. Their qualified, experienced technicians are trained in all the latest techniques to keep your home pest-free. Volunteer Ridipest LLC offers Mosquito Guard, which keeps mosquitoes out of your yard and out of your life. Their monthly and quarterly treatments are backed by their 100% money-back guarantee. For all your pest removal needs, call Volunteer Ridipest LLC today at 423-472-7736.
Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland, is your #1 Dodge Chrysler and Jeep dealer in this area. Stop by and see the brand new 2011 Chrysler 200. The 200 is essentially a new nameplate with a significant facelift to the outgoing 2010 Chrysler Sebring. A beautiful vehicle at an unbeatable price. And while you're there, check out the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee and the newly designed Dodge Durango. Redesigned, revamped, and reinvigorated. Yes, the Dodge Durango is back, bigger and better than ever. Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep offers a complete parts and service department with qualified service technicians to fix and repair your vehicle. So for your next brand new or pre-owned vehicle, make it Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland.
And we're back, and I'm making notes as we discuss all kinds of things during the break. But we're back with Dr. Matt Ryerson from United Way, and he's also the chair of the Unmet Needs Committee for the long-term recovery of for the storm victims here. We've been talking about a number of things, and one thing we specifically wanted to touch on, of course, is the continuing need for volunteers.
Yes.
And you mentioned during the break that there's a need tonight.
Yes. Absolutely. Tonight at the distribution center over at Barney Lane, they are looking for as many volunteers as we can get. We were talking off camera there that this community has come out so tremendously with donations, but you got to sort those donations, and there are a ton of donations over there that got to be worked through. So tonight at Barney Lane, if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity tonight from 6 to 9. The more people we can get, the more effective we can be as far as diving into that. Last week, my wife was able to volunteer. She said they had a crew of around 80 people, which is pretty amazing. They're going to do that again this Tuesday night, and I think it's going to be a regular Tuesday night volunteer night at the distribution center from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Barney Lane site, which is right off Michigan Avenue if you're kind of going out that
Michigan
way.
Avenue at 20th. And there's an industrial area there, and it's the first building on the right. You'll see the sign, Salvation Army sign.
It's very easy to find.
But it's a big old warehouse. Unfortunately, it's not air conditioned, so there is another need. That brings up another need, man.
Yeah, there's this week, and Dan covering the weather, it's going to be hot. Summer is on us, and there are a lot of people that need fans, a lot of people in trailers that don't have air conditioning. But for those volunteers at the distribution center, it is an oven over there in that facility. And they've had industrial-sized fans, the big, massive fans, but the company who loaned those to the distribution center had to take them back. So they're over there essentially without much air circulation. So if you have access to, you're aware of somebody who has available to them, industrial-sized fans, the distribution center is in desperate need of those. So they could take those. I think they open at 9, and I think they'd like them at about 9:03. If at all possible. It is hot, and this entire week looks like it's going to continue to be hot. So we want to really take care of our volunteers as much as possible.
And of course, there are other needs as well, but we don't. I wanted to mention. I'm told that we don't need any more clothes.
Right.
We're getting tons and tons, literally tons. That's not.
Yes.
Literally, yeah. And they
telling
have
you,
to
literally.
sort through all of them and
they
hang
all
them
have to
up.
be sorted.
Right.
Every garment has to be inspected. We don't need any more. We
Right.
just don't need them.
Right.
So there are other things that we do need, and that's an ongoing, continuing need for non-perishable food.
Right.
Many people still unable to cook, and they need food. There are paper supplies, paper goods, a lot of
toiletries,
all
those
kinds
types
of things like that. A lot of people cannot their home was blown away and all their dishes and forks and spoons and knives gone. So paper supplies,
Right.
like paper plates and plastic spoons and forks and things like that. I've heard of people saying, well, we're just going to use paper plates until we get our house rebuilt, then we're going to rebuy stuff. There's no need of doing it now. So
Right.
ongoing need for things like that as well. So any kind of staples supplies, non-perishable food, and some other things that I may have missed.
Yeah, especially in recovery efforts, cleaning supplies are a huge one. Trash bags are always necessary. Bilo made a really nice donation of hand sanitizer last week, which is gone through very quickly.
I'm sure.
But you're right. If you look around your home, and this is the easy way to judge, if you look around your home, not clothes, but if you look around your home and the things that you tend to use every day or use often are generally the things that they need over there, because when you think about the number of homes that were damaged or completely lost, these people didn't just lose a roof and four walls, they lost everything inside that home. So I know we were talking about diapers, but silverware, everything, I think, down the road. And especially one thing we're looking at is long-term recovery, is that a lot of these people have gone to their neighbor's house, to their relatives' house, their friends' houses.
We had a family staying with us.
Right. Yeah, and that's not at all uncommon. So right now they may not even realize the needs they have. So while we had an immediate rush, people got out of their home with literally the clothes on their back. We're kind of past that crisis stage, but you're going to have these people starting to move into apartments or moving into at least some transitional housing, and they're going to realize, wow, we don't have plates, we don't have cups to eat, to drink out of. So those type of needs, those more transitional or even long-term needs, are things that we're starting to look at.
Even things like can openers. When we're giving out the boxes of food, and you put a can opener in the box so people can open, the goods that they have to use.
The manual can openers, which I resort to from time to time in my house, because sometimes it's just not convenient to use the electric one, and sometimes it won't work for some reason.
Right.
Sometimes I get frustrated, and the old manual can opener is good.
So
lots of things that, you're right, Matt, the things you don't think about or don't realize you've lost, maybe for a few weeks or a few months.
Right.
Because you don't use them on a regular basis, but when you need them, you need them.
Right.
And that's kind of what they're discovering now. They're at that point in their recovery where they're discovering the things that they've lost and they need. We had a wonderful response from the community to the benefit concert. I know you were there.
Yes.
And Charmaine was there.
Charmaine, Roxanne's sis, Charmaine, was fronting for the choir, and she played the part of, I guess, Whoopi Goldberg. She came out with this huge fro.
I know.
Oh my goodness!
Amazing.
I like to fell on the floor laughing because, like Roxanne, I watched Charmaine grow up, and they're both so talented. But what a concert that was!
Yeah, it was a wonderful night. To raise money.
Yeah,
it is a wonderful opportunity to give to our community, but it was almost just as important was an opportunity for so many of us to take a break
and relax.
Take a mental and emotional break from, and I don't think my wife and I realized we were also on the victim side of this whole equation, and we're quite traumatized, and I don't think. We realized how important it was to laugh. It was the first time that I really had laughed since the storm, and it carried over. It wasn't a 2 hour. I feel better for those 2 hours, but it was one of those where you walked out of there and you said, we got to remember the blessings we have. We have to smile every day, and but that concert was incredible. Life Care and Lee University and the teams involved were just extraordinary.
And all three groups were unique. Of course, the Sister Act with your sister, Charmaine. Wow. They had the crowd on their feet.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, how do you follow that? And then the Voices of Lee came out with a complete different style.
Right.
And the same thing happened. They had the crowd right there and just, so talented.
The God Bless America when they sang that wasn't
that
powerful,
fantastic?
powerful.
Oh, yeah. And then
people were looking for just a way, I think, too, just to kind of release all that, that they'd been through.
Then they had the short video detailing some of the people who were affected by the storms. It was put together by Life Care Media. and then followed by the funny man himself, Mark Lowry.
Right.
And
Wow.
everybody was laughing.
Oh yeah.
Everybody was laughing. I was sitting on the same row with a lot of the folks from Life Care, and I know the chairman of Life Care, Forrest Preston, and his wife Kathleen were sitting just 2 seats down from me, and I'm thinking of Mr. Preston, is going to be
Right.
He's just not going to respond to all this humor. I leaned forward one time to look just to see how he was responding. He was wiping tears. He was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
The whole place was just erupting in laughter.
Laughter is like a medicine.
And it was. I think it was like an escape valve, letting some of the pressure off, and it was a good evening, and hopefully we can do that again soon. And of course the end result was we raised a lot of money.
A ton of money, and the relief fund is, I hate to give exact numbers without having exact numbers, but I know that night they raised a little over $40,000 for the event itself, which is amazing. But what was so extraordinary is then Life Care Centers of America followed up with a matching $250,000. Yeah, so that event alone raised a little more than $290,000 to go into long-term recovery.
Wow,
Goodness.
fantastic.
Well,
Fantastic.
congratulations to the community, and
Yes.
what a wonderful corporate citizen we have in Life
Yes.
Care.
Thank you to Life Care,
Yeah,
definitely.
thanks so much to the president and Beecher Hunter and to Forrest Preston, and they love this community, obviously. Mr. Preston could have built his business anywhere,
Right.
and he chose to stay right here in Cleveland and Bradley County, and we're fortunate and blessed to have such a wonderful corporate partner.
Yeah, and this isn't,
Life Care.
and this is not the first time. Life Care steps up every year for United Way and our annual campaign. They're incredibly generous. And then you think about Operation Christmas Child, which they are key partners in. I mean, they are so involved on so many levels.
They really are. And I always look forward to a Life Care event because it's going to be first class and high quality.
Yes.
It really is. Speaking of the raising of funds, there is a website that you can go to, and it was a springboard out of all of this reorganization and the Long-Term Recovery Committee and the Unmet Needs Committee, and we came up with a website, and it's bradleydisasterrelief.org, bradleydisasterrelief.org, and it is tax deductible. So you can log on, and if you want to contribute, all the money stays here in Bradley County.
Absolutely. Not only does it stay here in Bradley County, but 100% will go to relief efforts.
Yes.
So there's no administrative fees.
None at
there's
all.
nothing of that sort.
The money is being, you might say, facilitated by, held by United Way.
Correct.
But the United Way is not taking any of the money for administrative costs or anything. It's just a line item in their ledger.
Exactly.
And all the money is being handled, and I believe the Long-Term Relief Committee or some committee is assessing the needs, and the money is going out to those who need it. So great example of your community at work and response to this community. They tell me we're out of time. I've got a lot more comments to make, and I know Matt could talk about this all day, and I could too. And of course, it's always good to see Matt. But appreciate you coming in today. And
Thanks for having me.
Catching us up to date. And we'll do this again.
Great.
Thank you, Roxanne.
Thank you.
For coming
It's been
in.
a pleasure.
We'll see you again soon. It is 7:30. We've got to go. I hope you have a great Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow on the Tennessee Valley This Morning.